Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, I want to take a moment and talk about 5 tips for developing or building that relationship with your adult child that you want. Because it came from a conversation I was having where sometimes parents don't always have the relationship they would like to have with their adult children. And it can be frustrating, especially for the parent, as well as for the child, I guess. But there are certain things that I thought would be helpful for parents to keep in mind when looking to develop or build that relationship with your adult children. But before I get into that, I want to take a quick moment and say, if you are subscribed, thank you so much for being a part of our awesome world. If you're not yet subscribed, please take a moment and click the subscribe button below so you can join all this awesomeness. And remember to tick the bell so that you are notified when I post new videos so you don't miss anything. And of course, if you'd like to purchase 1 or 3 of my books, also a link below that will take you to a site that shows you all your different options of places where you could get 1 or 3 of my books. Okay, let me get back to it. The first thing is to offer the relationship that you want. A lot of times what tends to happen is that there seems to be an expectation of parents that their children, even though they are now adults, will have or will automatically, or because the parent wants or insists on it, will fall in line and have that relationship. It's important that you as the parent, if this is the relationship that you want, that you offer that relationship to your child. And regardless of what your upbringing is, what your parents did, what you do, how you and your parents' relationship is, if that is not what you're getting now, it's not realistic to expect that you and your child will have that same relationship that you have with your parents or that you had with your parents if this is not what you have now. If you are looking for something specific, offer that to that child. And this is not to say that, hey, because this is the relationship that you are offering, your child who is now an adult will automatically want and engage in that relationship. But if you're looking to be closer to your own child, offer that opportunity, offer that option, but also respect that, they are an adult and that they are who they are and they have their personalities, and that they may not reciprocate exactly when and how you want them to, but continuing to offer that closeness, continuing to offer that opportunity or to have that relationship can help generate, even if not specifically what you're looking for, something closer that may be a median between what your child is, what you have now, or what your child want and what it is that you're looking for. 2, remember that people have different personalities. You could have 10 children and have a very different relationship with each and every one of them. It's not realistic to expect that every child, because this one child has this relationship with me, then all my children should have that relationship. That's not how it works, because people are different. And the other thing is that even if all 10 of your children grew up in that same household, they may have each experienced that upbringing differently. And that can sometimes play a role in the relationship they have with you, they have with their parents as adults, even in the relationship they have with each other as siblings. That can be impacted by the experience they had in the household they had growing up with you, or that they did not have growing up with you. Remember that people are different. They have different personalities, and their different personalities may create or may need a different type of relationship than what you're looking for. So it's important to remember and sometimes even respect that. Yes, I talk about offering the relationship that you want, but be realistic and realize that because of your child's personality, the relationship that you're looking for may not be a possibility, may not be the right option, but remembering that, hey, this child's personality is not the same as that child's personality, and allow yourself to have a relationship that's close enough with that fits within each child's personality, instead of, hey, this is the perfect relationship I want with all 75 of my children. Hopefully nobody has 75 children, but you know what I mean. 3, remove expectations and obligations out of the equation. A lot of times I hear parents say, well, I did this, I did that. It doesn't matter what you did, what you gave your child, how much you sacrifice for your children. Remove that expectation, remove that sense of obligation. Because if your desire is to have a close relationship, is to have even any type of a relationship with your child, you can't force them, you can't mandate that relationship. You have to be able to remove that expectation and create the space and leave the space open for a relationship to develop, for a relationship to blossom, whatever that relationship may be. Maybe it is not what you expect, but it may be what that child can handle or what that child wants or what that child is willing to give. But when you start adding obligations and expectations, sometimes it creates more room for distance than for closeness. But if you if you offer that relationship and you respect that child's personality and understand that based on that person's personality, the relationship you want may not happen, or at least it may not happen right now. You may still have a chance, you may still have a shot at having some type of relationship that may be closer to what you want, but within the parameters. But when you are demanding or insisting on, this is the relationship I want, this is the relationship I deserve, I invested, then it becomes more of a battle than a process. Something that instead of getting closer to you, you may be pushing that child further away than, what you're actually looking for. 4, give time and space for relationships to develop. Sometimes people come in and decide, hey, this is what we want to do. We're going to fix our mother-daughter. We're going to fix our father-son or mother-son or whatever that dynamic is. We're going to fix our relationship. And it doesn't happen. That's because relationships take time. Whether you were not in your child's life for a period of time, it doesn't matter if it was something that you did or some type of circumstance, whatever the reason is that you may not have been present. Give the time and space for a relationship to develop. Maybe you and your child maybe you were always in your child's life, but something happened, a rift happened, and there was a break in the relationship. When you want to rebuild that relationship, you need to allow the time and space for it to develop. Just as with the removing the expectations and obligations, it's important that you are not imposing a box of, hey, we have 3 weeks to fix this. Give relationships time to develop. You may grow from, hey, you're getting a call once a year, maybe, and then you move on to quarterly calls, and then maybe eventually you're talking every week or daily. But if you're not allowing that relationship to grow within the time that makes organically, within a time that makes sense, that fits with all parties involved, especially the person with whom you're trying to develop that relationship, it can cause more difficulty. Because when you don't give it the time and the space, it's easily for you to get frustrated. It's easily for you to start having a negative reaction because it seems like, hey, why am I putting in all this effort and this is not happening? When you start approaching it in that manner, it's easier to push the person away than to pull them closer to you. So give it time, give it the space, give the person the opportunity to approach, to get to where you want to be, instead of, putting it all out there and forcing it and, insisting that it happens today, tomorrow, or whenever you want. 5. The best way to cultivate a strong relationship with children is in childhood. A lot of times parents do raise their children based on how they were raised. And even though you may have responded to your parents' parenting style in one way, does not necessarily mean that your child will respond to your imposing that same style with them the way you did. If your goal or your intention is to have a strong, a close, a personal, maybe a friend-like relationship with your children when they are adults, it's important to cultivate that when the child is in your household, when they are young. sometimes you'll have parents who maybe they raise, it's like, I run my household with an iron fist. I am the law. If you are raising your children in a way that maybe to instill fear, to create that dynamic of I am power, you are child, that does not always lead to that relationship that you want when that child is an adult. It's important that as an adult, as a parent, that you are, yes, instilling values, that you are the authority figure in your household. But there has to be a balance between being an authority figure and being creating an environment of fear, or creating an environment where the child does not feel that closeness. If your goal, if your intention is to have that closeness in adulthood, you need to start building that closeness. If you want that child to be able to talk to you and have regular conversations with you in adulthood, you need to start creating opportunities and building that when that child is a child in your household. So the best place for it, the best time to start it, is in your household when that child is young and a child. Okay, let's do a quick recap. 1, it's important to offer the relationship that you want. You can't just expect that your child will automatically, because you're the parent and you're the child, you tell them and they will have that relationship with you. That's not how it works. 2, remember that people have different personalities. You can have 10 children and have a different relationship with each one of them, and each one of them want a different style of relationship with you. And you got to respect that sometimes. 3, remove expectations or obligations. Just because you gave your left kidney to that child does not necessarily mean that they're going to suddenly be the one, have that relationship you want. You need to remove expectation and accept and allow relationships to develop and grow the way that they are going to develop and grow. 4, give time and space for relationships to develop, because you don't just there's no magic switch. There's no, hey, this is when we're doing it. It takes time. It takes space for people to develop relationships, and you need to allow for that. And finally, the best time to cultivate the relationship you want is when that child is a child in your household, because that's the time when you have the most influence. That's the best time to do it. So best time to do it, make sure that as you're raising your children, that you are considering the relationship you want them to have with you when they are adults and are no longer obligated to listen to you, and they're no longer dependent on you. As always, if you or someone happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, please remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.